All right, guys, there's nothing like being back in the green room in all seriousness, back in the green room. What I like to do, instead of reading this long bio that is very exhaustive, we sent it out. They're going to go to your website. I like just to have a conversation, kind of get the backstory, a little bit of the narrative, like who are you, and what are you up to these days? That's always my favorite question. What's going on?
Well, I would say, Sherrod and I, we've been in the marketing field and in business over 20 years at this point. We started the company very small, right out of college and things of that nature, and we've managed at that point to grow the clientele nationally. Thankfully, over 2,000 projects in that amount of time. So we focus on business strategy, marketing, branding, social media, and things of that nature. We really help business owners get the word out. What we're doing right now, we're helping customers every day through COVID, finding more creative ways to market and brand themselves. And that's what we're specializing in.
Now during these times, again, I know we had a conversation. These are unchallenging times. We're in uncharted waters, very serious times. In all seriousness, very, very serious times. What type of conversations are you having with your clients what's some of the private? Don't give us their names. You can't do that. I understand that, but just give us the gist. What type of conversation are you having with your clients and things they should be looking at doing during this time?
Well, Shay, the most important thing here is to focus on the positive, right? And so, we think that with every problem, opportunity comes out of that. So with this, a lot of our clients are having to pivot. They're having to discover new things within themselves, new lines of revenue within their business. And we work with them every day to discover those things and then help them brand and market those. So this is a great opportunity for everyone. That's what we're doing these days.
There's going to be some winners. There's going to be some losers during this time. Looks like you already plan to be a big, big winner during these times. Since you're not traveling now, none of us are, and you're not on stages anymore. What does a typical day look like for you these days? You know what I mean? Like, we were talking, you can't just go out the house anymore. How are you utilizing this time for yourself and for your business? Either one of you.
I guess I'll take that one. So, it's interesting because since we've been on COVID, going into it, you would anticipate that people would cut spending and reduce spending budgets during this time. And it might put stress or pressure on a marketing company. But I had a hunch that during this time, individuals would, kind of sit back and ponder and say, I had an idea that I should have put some time and money into, and now I have the time to do so. And I just need somebody to help me flesh it out. And so our business has actually been very strong, very consistent. Our pipeline is as strong as ever. And our new opportunities are coming literally daily. So our day looks like lots of conversations with prospective clients, lots of conversations with existing clients, and finding new and innovative ways to help people solve problems, especially this new set of problems that have arisen. Finding ways to reinvent and innovate on, age-old business concepts that are now forced into a new way of functioning because of limited contact. So our day just looks basically the same. You know what I mean? It's essentially the same thing. I think the one thing that has been taken away is being in front of a lot of people. And to be honest, most people don't mind that. So, it's okay. I get to stay in touch with my loved ones and those that I have strong bonds and relationships with, and focus on what we do best.
Focus on what you do best. Now, let me just address the elephant in the room. I got to address the elephant in the room. We're going to have a conversation, I understand, during this episode. You're going to break down this whole branding and marketing thing, right? And so I know we're going to get started in a little while. Folks are tuning in. They're here. Talk about why branding and marketing is more relevant now than maybe ever before, right? Because, I'm just curious. I'm going to get your thoughts on it. Don't worry. We're going to have an episode. They'll break down what marketing is and what branding is and companies they work with. But I'm just curious myself, like, why is it more relevant now than ever before? LaVon or Sherrod, either one of you.
Well, I would say, a lot of clients that we talk to on a day-to-day now, I would boil it down to one word. And sometimes we lack clarity in what we do. Branding is about clarity, right? It's about finding out what value I offer to the market and how I communicate that, right? And so right now it's more important than ever because as Sherrod mentioned, we can't see each other. We can't go to a networking event. We can't go to a conference. So if people find you online, whether that's social media, whether that's your blog, your podcast, the ultimate thing that they need right now is clarity on what you do, why they should buy, and things of that nature. And, I think that's important right now.
What they should do, why they should buy. I can't wait to hear all this make them buy. I mean, I can't wait to hear what that's all about and why that's important. For those folks that are out there right now, you're in for a treat. If you're a small business owner, if you're a speaker, an author, a coach, a trainer, influencer, or you run a shop, a brick and mortar, this is your moment. This is your time. I see Kathy out there. I see Kelly out there. What's up, Calvin? So many folks are tuning in. We got a show, guys. Wish I could stay in the green room forever. We're going to get started. When we come back, they're going to break this whole thing down. Make them buy. Don't worry, I'm going to ask them, how do you do that? We're going to ask that question. How do you do that? We'll be back in just a moment. It's showtime. It's my favorite time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win.
Well, it's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is really to provide you the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are really necessary to execute that big vision that you have for the people you were called to serve. And I believe you really have 3 visions. I think you have 3 visions when you boil it all down. I believe first, you have a vision for yourself. You know, the food that you want to eat, I'm sure it's organic. The clothes that you want to wear, even the car that you want to drive. And it takes resources, which means it takes revenue to do that. We're going to talk about that today. I believe you have a second vision as well. You have a vision for the people that you love the most. I was having a conversation. I get a chance right now to make sure Mother Dear gets to order. She's ordering a lot of stuff right now. Whatever she wants online, right? It's cool to be able to go there and drop groceries off. Some of you have a vision for your loved ones. The school you want to send them to. You want to write a check for someone's health care insurance, or maybe make sure their mortgage is taken care of. It takes resources, which means it takes what? Revenue. That's what they're going to be talking about today. Or maybe you have this third vision. You have a vision for the people you were called to serve. And whether you're a believer or not, I happen to be a believer, but I want you to imagine that you're Noah in the Bible. And you've got this vision from God. He's giving you the experience. He's giving you the expertise, and you're ready to go. And you show up. And right before you get started, there's a report. Noah, we're sorry to report, but there is no hammers in the house. No hammers, no big deal. We're ready to rock and roll. What's going on? Noah, we're back again. There are no nails either. No hammer, no nails. Rule number 1, we don't panic. Noah, this is the last time. Sorry to bother you. There's no wood and there's no team to put the boat together. Good luck on this mission. And maybe that's you. You got a big idea. You got your purpose. You got your passion. You believe. Nobody need to tell you freaking believe anymore. But yet there's no customers. You need some resources. Well, that's why LaVon's here. That's why Sherrod's here right now to help you connect branding and marketing to make them buy. So with that being said, let me welcome the one and only Sherrod and LaVon. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
We're good. Welcome. Thank you.
I said we're all good. Look, you have this topic. You put it up there. I didn't come up with this topic. You said make them buy. Now, before we make them buy, branding, here we go again, guys. Marketing, here we go again. Can you at least give us your definition? What is branding and what is marketing? We want to hear your view on the world. And for those folks out there, tune in very carefully because they're going to connect the two together. We're going to see how this works. I can't wait. Over to you, LaVon or Sherrod.
Well, I would say, branding and marketing, as we know, it goes hand in hand, right? So to us, branding is how you communicate your value. And what that means is that we go into business, we look at the market and we offer something to that market. It's some type of value. I mean, it's a reason why a person would choose McDonald's over Burger King or Lexus over Mercedes. They're all communicating their unique value and it connects to their customers. To us, marketing is the distribution of that message, right? So once you figure out what your brand is and how you communicate it, you use marketing, and we know it these days as social media, commercials, billboards, and you distribute that message. And that's how they go hand in hand.
Ah, okay. I love that. And, for the person that's out there that's saying, okay, Shay, I already have a name and I already have, my friend helped me put together something over here. And is that enough? What more is needed? Let me ask the question directly. The question is, what's the biggest challenge you feel is facing, or one of the biggest challenges that's facing entrepreneurs today in terms of having their brand really say what they want it to say, or have it people feel the way they want it to feel? What's one of the biggest challenges holding folks back?
I would say, one of the big. I'm sorry, I thought Sherrod was going to take that question.
Well, what I do make it easy, I'll say Sherrod and I'll say LaVon. See, I'll make it easy.
but no, I'll answer that question. So some of the biggest challenges we see, and it's something business owners don't realize that they have, because we all have been doing what we do for a living for a very long time, right? So with that, we take a lot for granted, and sometimes people are very good at a lot of different things. So with that being said, sometimes business owners lack clarity, right? And if you lack clarity in what you do, it's very hard to talk about it. It's very hard to market it and things of that nature. So some of our biggest challenges, and Sherrod talks about this a lot in some of our seminars that we do, is individuals not knowing what they actually sell. We'll dig into that a little later, but that's one of the biggest challenges that we see so far.
Not know what they're going to sell. Go ahead.
I'll add to that point. Another thing that I think is of equal importance, if not more, is understanding that branding is important. I think, and then being willing to spend money to brand. I think and so the question that you asked is targeted at upstarts, essentially, like people just getting started in business. And so a lot of times with that group, and even sometimes with people who are wildly successful, they don't realize that you have to invest in your brand. They cannot make the connection between dollars and cents spent on branding and revenue. So what they oftentimes do is put all of their energy into product development, what it is that they sell, what they're going to do, how much it's going to cost, if it's made with the best fabric, if it's made with the best engineering. And that's good, but there are a lot of really good products on the market that no one either knows about or cares about. And so knows about is marketing, cares about is branding. So for us, we try to make people care about what you're doing. And that is, and so the care part is relevant at every step of the process. There's no part of the process where your branding isn't relevant. For an example, if you look at Mercedes-Benz, they acquired the company AMG. Now, we buy cars, black folk, we'll buy a Mercedes, and we say we got the Mercedes AMG. And that is just the name of the engineering company that Mercedes acquired. It does not mean anything sexy. It's not necessarily associated with the size of the rims. It's not associated with the leather on the seats. It's just a certain type of engineering. But through branding, they've made you care in a certain way. And it has informed every step of the process. So now you're spending dollars and cents on the way that they've branded the CXYZ AMG versus just the CXYZ, which there aren't major differences usually, but you'll spend an extra $10,000 or $15,000 because you think those three letters mean more and you care about that. Branding is what does that. So product is very important, and your product has to be good. But last thing I'll say, if anybody has ever read Seth Green's book about marketing, what he says is Captain Crunch, before they created a cereal, they invented the character Captain Crunch. And they did not get the green light to produce the actual cereal itself until the marketers were satisfied with the box, the coloring, and the look and feel of Captain Crunch. Then once that was done, they were green lighted to actually make the product. And that's how it should work in a perfect world, but it doesn't. So, what we face is we have to educate people on the importance of branding.
I like that. And you mentioned kind of targeting startups and startups, 1 to 5 years. Can you take a moment, if you would, and maybe speak to the person that they've been in business and they're like, wow, when do I know that it's time to kind of maybe shift, shift the brand, or maybe change the brand, or maybe have it change towards something different than what it is now, or once it's up and going and people know about it, you can kind of keep it there. You know what I mean? So I guess the question is, speak to the established business owner that's out there right now, and they're just questioning, like, should I be looking at changing my brand now or introducing a secondary? Like, when do I go through an evaluation process and have someone at least look at what I'm doing now? So here's the question. Established business owner, when do you recommend people have a review of what their brand is and what their brand recommends, or, what it's saying to the marketplace?
Well, go ahead, Sherrod.
So what I want to give the people is a tool. So to answer that question, first of all, it's a very good question. And there are two major points that you should be asking that question, and two major points. And both points, you use the same criteria to evaluate what you should do. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Brand is caring, and then marketing is awareness. So the major time that you need to make that evaluation is if you're an upstart, right then, at that point. When you're getting started is when you need to be concerned about branding, because the idea here is your product cannot be successful if people don't care. Mm-hmm. And if caring is the vehicle, if branding is the vehicle that we use to create that emotional attachment to you and your product or your service, then branding needs to be at the front. When is it time to reboot my brand or invest more in my brand? Is when you are willing to accept the fact that people don't care. So when you realize that no one cares about what you're doing and you accept it, because what we have a lot of times is, no one cares and people aren't spending, but because your grandma gave you the idea, because it was the first thing, God told you when you was in the bathroom, you're not going to let it go. But we know nobody cares, and nobody cares. But for personal reasons, you're not willing to deviate from that path that you've been trying to make work for all these years. And really, the real reason of that is because you don't have a brand that connects and creates an emotional connection. So those are the 2 points. And it's 1 point. You need to reevaluate or evaluate your brand at the point that you realize you need people to care or people no longer care.
I like that. Now, okay, so I get it now. This is good. Everyone out there, you have my permission, and you certainly, I'm sure, have Sherrod and LaVon's permission. You can go ahead and pay this message forward, right? We believe in the giver's economy. The person out gives the competition, out earns the competition. The person out gives the competition, out earns the competition. Go ahead and hit the share button now. Just go ahead and hit the share button now. And when you hit the share button, just go ahead and put connect branding and marketing. You can put that. See, they're talking about connecting branding and marketing. I think Sherrod used the word, they care and they know about you. See, they're here to give. They're here to give. So hit the share button. Now, if you have a private community and you want to know if it's okay to share it, absolutely. Do it right now. Now, why would you do that? Because you want to take care of another entrepreneur. Someone out there is trying to build their business, grow their business. Someone else out there is trying to take care of their staff and their team. And it might be time for them to pivot. And they're like, God, I didn't know this was even going on. So go ahead and do that right now. And as you're doing that, I'm gonna ask Sherrod or LaVon, whichever one raises their hand. I'm gonna say, you talked about brand, and can we just quickly touch on something? I know it wasn't on here, but folks are running around saying brand story. I gotta tell my new story about who I am and this. Can one of you just talk about what the LL Cool J is a brand story that everybody's walking around talking about. I need a brand story, Shay. I got what? When did this come up? So can y'all just talk about what is the brand story and maybe why that's important to help folks that are listening? And is that something you help people out with as well?
Yeah, I would say it is something that we help people out. It's really one of the first things that we help with. You know, when Sherrod mentioned, you know, people have to care. Every brand we care about in history, anything you buy is because of a story, right? You attach something to it. We all buy Apple products. We all know Steve Jobs' story. You know Microsoft, you know Bill Gates' story and things of that nature. And people can connect and relate to these stories. So it's the very first thing. And everyone has a unique story, whether that's, you know, you were in corporate America for 20 years and you've made history there, or if you started something out of your garage, or because of your son, you began to make this product. You know, everyone has a story that connects to someone. And so that's part of the caring that Sherrod was mentioning.
And go ahead, Sherrod.
There's one more element to brand story. LaVon is exactly right. You know, each one of us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as organizations has a story that makes us, that really tells our why. You know, why are we here? Why do we exist? Why are we creating this product? But there's another side of the brand story piece that I think is often ignored, and it's very important to the overall success and the long-term success of any product or service. And that is, what story does my association with this product or service tell about me as a consumer? That story is a very, very important story in terms of building your business. You need to curate that story as well as you curate your own story. So it's one thing for the story of LaVon and myself to be, we've been around 20 years, we've worked with premium brands, but when individuals come and drop that pretty penny to work with us, what the story they're really telling is a story about themselves, where they're saying, I take my business serious. And we positioned ourselves to both be understood from the perspective of our story, but also what story is associating and working with our company, saying about your company and yourself personally. Another example would be the difference between shopping at Whole Foods and Walmart. Whole Foods is one story about you, the customer, and Walmart is a different story. Buying a Mercedes or a Kia. Mercedes is one story about the owner of the Mercedes. A Kia is another story. A condo versus a traditional 5-bedroom home in the suburbs. Two different stories, but the story that's being told is not as important. The more important story is not just the story that's being told about the brand, but it's the story the brand tells about the customer. So when you look at Nike's success, everybody's been watching the Michael Jordan documentary and everybody's been hearing about it, what's been going on. But what made Michael Jordan so successful is because everybody wanted to say and tell his story about themselves. It wasn't so much that Nike had the most amazing story. It was more about, when you see me wearing Nike, Michael Jordan branded products, what does it tell you about me? That's the most. So what LaVon and I have discovered is, although brand story is very important and we spend a lot of time storyboarding and writing documents to tell this brand story, but oftentimes as business owners, we fail to curate the story that our products and services are going to be telling about our customers. And that's where the money is.
I like that. And I'm hoping maybe if we have time, maybe you guys are directors, maybe you'll tell some stories of some brands you've worked with. Y'all like that, don't y'all? See, I had to put them on the spot, guys. I mean, they're branding folks. How can we not have a branding person talk about branding and not give us a story about maybe one of the ones they work with? And I want to get to that sooner rather than later, because I think that's very important for folks that are listening and they're tuning in, Sherrod or LaVon. Before we go into you, Sharon, yeah, I did ask them. We're going to see if they can direct us in a minute or two to maybe help us see some things they've done. What do you say, Sherrod, to the person, or LaVon, that says, okay, I haven't even thought about this in a while. I just keep hearing branding. What is one or two things they should consider if they're considering working with someone or even having a conversation with someone that they can bring to the table other than, you know, can you make me look better? Or I'm not sure anybody cares right now. Can you kind of give a little guidance for Don Anderson is watching right now? Deborah Crimes is out there. Deronda Muffy is out there right now. Kelvin, who has a big technology company up in Wisconsin. So many folks that are tuned in right now. How do they show up, and what should they be asking and questions if someone's going to help them with their brand?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of what we've talked about so far. I think things that people should be concerned about, outside of brand story and things of that nature, is really discovering the things that their clientele wants. But more importantly, you have an opportunity to gain an entirely new clientele and learning who they are, what they want, and things of that nature. So, even in some cases, some customers have been working with branding firms for a while. Sometimes it requires a fresh pair of eyes to just see those opportunities. And so those are some of the things that we look at.
Okay, got it. I like that. Now, is there maybe an example of something that you maybe shared that has a story along with it, someone that maybe you've worked with along this journey that you can share with us, or something you want me to show?
Sure. Let's go with the color-coded kids. Let's start there. We can tell you that story.
Okay. Let me. You want me to show it to him first? Want me to go and show it to him here?
Let's show it to him. Okay. Yeah. Right. All right. So the story behind this is that Color Coded Kids is a company that they're out of St. Louis. They're located in several Microsoft stores across the country. And what they do is they help kids code a video game in 12 weeks. Right. So the issue here was, how do you put a little polish on this logo? Now, what people don't realize with this brand is that they did have to continue to tell the story, but the logo, as you see it to the left, was the logo prior to working with us. It's very hard to reproduce. Even right now, if you back 10 to 20 feet away from your screen, it's very hard to read what it says, right? And so we had to get in a position to, how can we have them communicate who they are in a very clever way? And when you look to the right side of the screen, if you know anything about code, it looks like a line of code, and within that line of code is a kid's face that represents, the feeling of a kid once the class is over. And so what you see here is that we redesigned how the colors appear, the orientation is legible from several distances. It works on different mediums, and it really begins to tell that brand story.
Oh, cool. What did you enjoy most about working with that particular client?
Really, what I mentioned, really helping them tell the story, because this client, again, has some level of success, but when they added clarity to that story and the visuals and the image, it really began to allow different partners to take them a little more serious. And that's what we have to remember. We often have several client profiles, right? Mm-hmm. Because in this case, you have the parents that cut the check and pay the money, right? But you also have the kids that are the beneficiary of the product. But the one thing we don't think about, they have to attract partners. Would Microsoft want to partner with them? Would Apple want to partner with them? What big brands want to partner with them to accomplish the goals? And so you very seldom have just one clientele. You have to think about everybody you're talking to and do that with one message.
Okay, I like that, Brand. I love it. Is there another example you like to show us along this journey? And so I like seeing the spread here. So you were working with the parents, which I know that had to be amazing. I'm a parent, so I can't imagine working with. I just can't imagine. But you had to work with the parents and my son or the kid. I say that. Oh my gosh, I applaud you. So we all see the diversity. You working with different folks and making it all work together. Is there another example that you can kind of share with us? And folks that are out there watching and listening, this is very important, because what we're able to do in this time is not only talk about what's possible, but also show some clear examples of folks who were just like you. Some had big brands, some may have had small brands, some may have had an idea before they showed up. I'm gonna ask them in a moment, do they help come up with the ideas, right? Because maybe you're like, I don't even have an idea. But we're gonna ask them that question in a moment. Is there another sample you'd like to show us?
Yeah, I think we can show quick action.
Okay.
And we can talk about this.
Oh, that's the same one? Oops. Go ahead.
So, Sherrod and I, we spoke at a conference at one time, and this company walked up to us, and they had an issue with, and we can show engine. I guess we can skip to engine here.
Oh, okay. That's the next one. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. But, I think Sherrod's trying to talk. We can't hear him. But Engine is an IT firm out of the DC area, your neck of the woods, Shay. Uh-huh. And what you see on the left side of what they had prior to working with us. And, in the IT industry, there's something powerful about the check mark. It's a sign of completion. It's a sign of everything being okay. And so we decided to use the check mark in the end in the very unique way that they spell engine, and just create something totally new and different and fresh for this particular company. So that's what you're looking at.
And Sherrod, what did you guys enjoy most about working with a technology company? That's totally different than working with mom and wifey and the kids. This is a little different. What did you enjoy most about this?
With the technology firm, especially in the DC area, everything is very academically driven. And so we wanted to make sure that we hit the nail on the head in terms of the sensibilities that they wanted to communicate to their customer base. So that was the idea behind the check mark, because if you remember, when you go to a website and you see the HTTP versus the HTTPS, it normally codes green, being verified, being secure, being appropriate, being regulated, being authenticated are all keywords in the IT space. I have 10-year IT background. I was a software developer for a very long time. And so the check mark just made a lot of sense to me to take their brand in that direction, because essentially when you go to an IT firm, you're looking to be secure, from network security to communication to connectivity. Everything is about security. And with the nature of the world right now, not just COVID, but in the space of technology, things being compromised is commonplace. So I think it's really advantageous for an IT firm to build their brand on a promise to the market that says that won't happen with us. And so that was the idea for us pushing Engine in that direction. In addition, Engine does a lot of work with government. So that's another thing. If you understand government, you know that government is all about reliability, dependability, repeatability. That's another thing the check mark represents. So, and the logo was just the start of what we did for this organization. We did web, we did consulting, we did content writing. So, logos and designs are a part of what we do, but the real nuts and bolts of what we try to get into is the strategic approach to your business and your profit model. And that's where we really shine.
I love it. And for the person that's listening right now, or the company out there, I was talking to a good friend, and they had to make some changes and some shifts, and they're like, "Wow, this is perfect." I'm not the creative, and no one's on my team is creative, or it's time for something different. Do you guys also help create the concept and the idea, and then match that to the story? I believe you're doing the whole piece. Talk about a little bit about what that looks like, and maybe there's one more example. I know you was going there first. I'll share that, but I want them to be able to connect the branding and the marketing, because you're doing that right now, so they understand you don't have to have all the ideas when they show up, right? You just got to be able to provide whatever they provide. But you want to go one more, and then maybe you can connect the dots for them, kind of like.
Sure, we can show a quick action, and I want to speak to what you mentioned, because you're right. When you get to the visual part, that's just the culmination and the manifestation of the strategy, right? Branding starts with the strategy. A lot of people don't realize that. Some people try to say, well, we're going to do the strategy, start the business, and then we'll do branding. But that's branding. That's a part of the process. That's the beginning of the process.
That's the beginning of the process. I love that. So you have to do the whole thing. Talk a little bit about quick action plumbing. Again, here you are, brick and mortar, then you're on another area. So I like the diversity that you're able to bring to the table.
Yeah, well, with Quick Action, Sherrod and I met this company at a conference one time. And this is a unique situation, Shay, because this is a situation where the company was actually paying for SEO. And if people don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. It's a strategy to drive traffic to your website. So people were coming to the website, but they were not booking plumbing appointments, right? And so that's a very unique case. Sometimes people say, well, I don't have traffic, or people can't find me. People were able to find them, but they weren't booking them. And, we discovered that it's because they were so experienced and they're good at what they do, but it's because they look like a mom and pop shop, and which we get into a lot with our seminars. You'll take big brands like Tropicana, or you'll take McDonald's or Burger King, people that don't change the recipe, but they change the look and feel and the strategy, right? And because of that, they drive sales. So this company actually mentioned that it was the best money they've spent, because what we did was we rebranded them with web, logo, color palette, things of that nature, strategy. And soon after that, that traffic that was at their site began to click and buy all of a sudden. right? They didn't change the way they operated. They didn't change anything like that. Just the branding. And that's what that's about. It's very important.
Wow. Just so the overall messaging changed. The overall message didn't change. It was more of the undertones of folks, I guess, cared more. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. We mentioned a lot on this call clarity, right? So, you know, when you provide clarity and you communicate well, you know, you get conversions, which is what it's about. And Shay, I know you know about that. You know, people come, they read, they understand, they convert to paying customers. And that's what it's about.
One of the other things to take into consideration that good design does is it is also a trust builder. If you go, you know, just think about it, how many times you've gone to a dealership and turned down a car because the paint was chipped or tire was flat. Car might have been the greatest car that you would have purchased, but the cosmetics or the aesthetics bred distrust. And that same idea happens in reverse. If you come across a product or a concept that has polish and looks really well done, it is almost synonymous with trust. And that's one of the things that's evidenced in this case, is that just the facelift made people want to spend more money. And it's been proven even in human behavior that, unfortunately, people that are deemed to be more attractive tend to get higher salaries, tend to get hired more often, tend to get extended more opportunities. That's an unfortunate reality of the world we live in, but people tend to respond to aesthetics in a much greater way than they do when they're turned off visually. So branding encompasses that as well. That's part of making people care, is making sure that you show up with a good suit on, if you will, for your brand and business.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So question for you is we're going through this, Sherrod, you know, there's a title of a book called Make Them Buy, right? And so folks like, okay, Shay, I'm here. I'm in the front row. I got it here. Okay, got to get the branding. Got to make them care. I'm feeling it. I'm smelling what you're cooking in the kitchen down there in Atlanta. I got it. And then you're way over here with marketing. So now someone knows who they are. And then you got this big, bold title. It was at the top, by the way. You didn't put it at the bottom. You put it at the top. He was like, Make Them Buy. It was in red, not green. So I said, okay. So take a moment, if you would, and kind of unpackage that whole concept, that whole idea for folks that are just listening, or one of you that are listening right now saying, make them buy. What is that about? Talk to me.
Make them buy is a concept that there's so many ways to address this. So I'll try to keep it simple. So as you saw, the name of the seminar is Make Them Buy. I actually wrote a book entitled Make Them Buy. And what it's about is not make them purchase. So we're not saying we want to make you purchase something. We want to make you believe. We want to make you adopt. We want to make you engage and participate. You ever heard the phrase, the idiom, I don't buy that? You know,
Yeah.
Somebody do something, yeah, I'm not buying that. What they're saying is I don't identify, believe, trust that. Not purchase. And so when I say make them buy, I'm saying make them identify, believe, trust. One of the greatest examples of this is Michael Jordan. I always go back to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan made people buy, not purchase. He made people believe. And through belief, it drove human behavior, which resulted in a purchase. So what we try to help people do is understand how to cultivate that belief in what it is that they're doing, so that it can lead to purchases. And so for us, we don't try to teach people how to sell. So when we say make them buy, it's not about sales. Sales is the last thing that we're talking about. What we're talking about is identifying purpose, identifying the need, and then understanding how to embody a solution that people can believe, adopt, and trust. And then there's one more element. There's the association factor, which is I won't even mention that right now. We'll save that for a little bit later. But the believe, adopt, and trust is a huge component of buy. So we try to teach people how to create that in what they do. Using Michael Jordan, the reason he was successful is because his performance created belief. It created the demand for adoption. And then the way he carried himself publicly made the world generally trust him in whatever he recommended. So because of that, people were willing to purchase, right? Now, the driving factors behind, now obviously we're not going to tell you we're going to make everybody into a world phenomenon like Michael Jordan. But we can help you take advantage of the sensibilities that built his empire and use them to your advantage. An example, you know, we're living proof. We've been doing this for 20 years, and our business, we've seen ups, we've seen downs, we've seen lefts and rights, like everything, and we've been able to persist and endure using these same principles and concepts. So we try to teach business owners how to do that for themselves. It's about making people understand and connect more than it is about selling anything.
I like that, making them understand and connect. See, I knew he was gonna weave connect in. I knew he was gonna weave connect. I didn't know when connect was coming in, but he weave connect in. Okay, we'll get to connect in a minute, but take a moment if you would, and one of you talk about what brands do you admire. You threw a few names out there and said, well, this is cool and that's cool and this is cool. But if you had to step back and say, you know what, you know, we connect branding and marketing, and here's a few brands, maybe one or two or three, whatever you want, that we admire. And then here's why. Other than Michael Jordan, you got to put Michael Jordan to the side. You can't mention the good book. The Bible got to go to the side over here. Those are two brands. Well, they're not even on the same playing field. Don't send me any text messages and shade the Bible and Michael Jordan. That's not what I'm doing, okay? I just taking them off the table so they don't talk about them. so either one of you, what are some brands that you admire and why?
Well, I would say besides the Bible and Michael Jordan.
You can't do that. I just told he just wasted 2 minutes of his time, ladies and gentlemen.
You just took my first two. No, I'm kidding. But no, I would say for me, and people around me know, it's probably Apple, to be honest, because I think that Apple has, and Steve Jobs said this himself when he was, alive, that Apple is really good about giving people products that they didn't know they needed until he sold it to them. Right. So I think Apple is really good about when they develop something, understanding the customer, knowing how the customer wants to feel, as every little detail, as they walk in the store, as they open the product, as they use the product, as they run into problems, even Apple down to Apple Care. I think we all would agree that even Apple's customer service is great. The way they conduct themselves in the store is great. Even the decision to not have cash registers and have people just kind of floating around and they can check you out at any given point. The sleekness, the way the products are designed, the speed of them. So I really like how Apple has turned themselves into, what we call a lifestyle type of brand. Back in the day, they started with just a computer, and they've done a very good job with evolving and creating an ecosystem that allows people to want to use their products and connect and things of that nature. So that would be my brand.
Okay, Apple. He's taking a big chunk. He said, I'm going to take Apple. Okay. Who's going to argue with that one? Sherrod may argue with that one, but I have all the Apple products. I call Apple Care today, so I agree with you. I like that. Okay, Sherrod, I can't leave you hanging out there. You got to give us one of the brands that you admire.
I have so many brands that I could say that I think do a good job. I'll give a couple honorable mentions before I talk about the one that I think I want to point out. And I won't necessarily say that I admire this brand, but I definitely want to point it out for the sake of the listeners so they can kind of analyze the way this brand makes decisions and maybe even be able to use some of this for their business. But a couple of brands that I think do a really good job. One is Louis Vuitton. I think Louis Vuitton is, and it's not just because they have expensive products. I think their pricing strategy is one of the best I've seen on the market. They understand who they are, what position they hold, and how to year upon year retain that position. Being a almost worth $60 some odd billion as a fashion house is phenomenal. I mean, it's unheard of. It's amazing. They do an amazing job. I could get into the specifics and the details of what makes them what they are, but they are very good at what they do, and it's all in the little nuanced details that we probably overlook every day. So that's one.
And that one's just an honorable mention, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait till you get to the one he really admires, okay? That's just an honorable mention. So let's see how this gets better. I mean, let's all put Louis Vuitton to the side and say you didn't make number one, and let's just see who else is on the honorable mention list.
You're funny, man. Another one I like is Starbucks. I think Starbucks has figured out that in a lot of ways, Starbucks has become the leading icon for culture next to Apple and Coca-Cola. You know where you are in a city when you see a Starbucks sign. You know what type of area you're in. You know what type of people live there. You know what to expect, what not to expect. In addition to the experience that you have when you enter into a Starbucks store and purchase coffee. And I won't even dig into all of the different details that they are very intentional about to create a brand that is synonymous with middle to upper middle class, and so when you think Starbucks, that's whether you realize it or not, that's what Starbucks represents. Furthermore, so that's another honorable mention. But the brand that I think
so I want to make sure we got the two that got cut off the chopping block. We got Louis Vuitton. Sorry about that, but okay, fine. I still own some stock. Starbucks. As soon as everybody gets out of this situation we're now, they're all running to a Starbucks, but they didn't make the top one for Sherrod. Although I know you all can't wait to go into Starbucks again. I know you're dying to do that. You're tired of the drive-bys and standing outside the door. But now he's going to give us number one. So for Kat, who's watching right now, here's number one. For Donna, who's watching right now, here's Sherrod's number one brand that he admires. Well, he admires a lot of them, but, for now. All right, here we go.
The reason that I select this as number one is because this brand has shown to me one of the greatest propensities with knowing where they sit in the marketplace, never going outside of their lane, and being able to make it a profitable business model for years and years and years. And that is Waffle House.
Waffle House? Waffle House? I mean, first of all, do you even eat waffles, man? Do you still eat waffles? Do you put syrup on your waffles? I mean, come on now.
Shay, Waffle House is a good meeting place now. Come on.
Let me tell you why Waffle House is the brand that I think most of the people on this call should study, because everybody could try to study Apple. No shade to Apple. I mean, Apple's a great brand, but they're a $1 trillion business. That's only going to happen once every 200 years. Then you have, like a Louis Vuitton, which is also another business that's going to happen once every 100 years. But what we can learn from Waffle House is the art of knowing who you are and using that to build a profitable business model. One of the things that happens in Black culture, and I don't know if the audience is predominantly Black, but I want to address this for Black business owners, is we generally, and not always in the right things, as I mentioned earlier, that we don't always invest in branding, but we generally have a tendency to want to spare no expense whenever we can. So we want to buy the biggest this, the most expensive that, the most, notable this for various reasons. And a lot of times we don't have to open up businesses that do that. We don't have to always have the biggest barber shop with the best barber chairs and the most expensive clippers. So if you look at Waffle House realizes that we are not Ruth Chris. We are not Starbucks. You don't see Waffle House commercials. You don't see Waffle House ads. You see Waffle House next to the truck stop. You see Waffle House right off of the exit. You see them invest in a 80-foot sign so you can see it from the highway. You see Waffle House make sure that they're open in the hours where their competitors don't dominate. So they realize that, hey, I can't compete head-to-head with Starbucks from 8 to 5, but I'll smash Starbucks from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So because of that, they make sure that they trend their business towards the areas that they can win, and they are not lost in the fight of trying to be the biggest and the best. They don't have the best waffles. They don't offer the best experience when you enter the store. They don't have Wi-Fi. There are no cushions on the seats, but they know that that's not their sweet spot. Their sweet spot is convenient food that's always available as needed, that's quick and easy and affordable, and they stay there. And they don't get lost in, having the most grandiose of anything. They just make sure that they are available when their competitors are not, and they are accessible in areas that their competitors are not, and that is their business model. And they make sure that so that cuts down on, the average Waffle House might be 1,500 square feet or less. They don't have many places to sit. Usually they're not in the areas where they're the most affluent things going on. You can find them in a lot of different places, but they don't spend a lot of money on leases and rent to get things done. They spend their money on making sure that they're accessible off the road and open late at night. So I think we can learn from that by saying, hey, I can open a business that doesn't have to be the Mercedes-Benz as a Black business owner. I can start a business that sits right in the middle of the lane. There can be the low option, there can be the high option, and there can be me. And then I can intentionally design my business to serve that customer. I think we need more of that in Black business.
I love it. I love it. Great example. He was ready for that. You know, we're just having a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could say we had some run sheet and I had to do certain things, but I don't. They're like, Shay, let's just hang out and have a conversation with the folks. So you're getting the real deal behind the scenes, as organic as it can possibly be. There was someone out there, Stacy, that put, do you do 2D animation with your company? And so I don't know what 2D is. It 3D or 2D these days? I don't even know.
There's both. LaVon, you can take that one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's both. The answer is yes, we do. But, 3D animation is what you would see probably with a Pixar film, things of that nature, those type of movies from, that type of company. 2D is more, explainer videos, cartoons, things of that nature, right? And so that's part of how we help companies storytell, to be honest, Shay. That's a very big part of it. Most of how people comprehend these days are in video. And yes, we do that.
Okay. Her name is Stacy Gregory. You'll see it in the comments below. For those folks that are out there that maybe have the same question she has, like what type of clients do you work with, by the way? So who's the type of clients that you work with? And maybe someone sitting there is like, hey, it's for me. I'm glad that I came across this. If you hadn't hit the share button yet and you hit the share button again. Hit the watch party button. You can pay this message forward so someone else can hear the message so they can improve their branding and their marketing. And it's not an either or. They say it's connected. It's not an either or. They say it's connected. So take a moment and talk about what type of clients you work with. Who are your ideal clients?
Well, Shay, I can start. So I'll say we've been pretty fortunate over the last 20 years. We boast that we don't advertise in over 20 years. We simply, take pride in doing really good work, and one customer tells the other. And in that time, we literally have done over 2,000 projects. Some of those are, SeaWorld, the Home Depot, Coca-Cola, just to name a few. But, most of what we've done is mid-market companies, startups, companies that want to make a pivot in their branding. So I think because we work with so many companies, we have a very unique vantage point, and we can really help a lot of individuals.
Okay. And for the persons out there saying, how can I best connect with you? And do you do brand reviews? Do you do brand audits? Do you even have conversation with folks that are out there? Take a moment, if you would, and kind of tell them how they can connect with you. So for those folks that are out there right now, and if you're listening to the podcast, you can still do this. If you're listening on Apple TV, you can do this, or Amazon Fire. Sherrod or LaVon are going to walk you through kind of what are the steps that you need to do in order if you want to have a brand review or an audit or something of that nature. And number two, how to do it.
Yeah, I would say, one thing that people like about us, especially at our seminars and when we first meet a client, is the brand audit, right? In a very short period of time, we're able to gain a lot of information about a customer and things that are important, what's going wrong with the brand, what are your pain points, what are the objectives and goals in the future. So we start with an audit, we go into an orientation, and one thing that we are proud of is that we're very efficient and quick with our creative process. We try to produce really premium work in an efficient manner. And so people can actually connect with us on Instagram at Connect Branding or brandingconnected.com, our website. And we'll get started. I think working with us.
What's the website again? So folks can type it in. And those folks that are listening, go over and make sure the website works. Nothing personal, LaVon. Sometimes people give us these websites and they just don't work. Technology happens. I know you may have seen that happen before. I know it never happened to you. So let's all open up a browser. Let's see if this thing works. All right. So where do you want folks to go, LaVon?
Yes, to people's surprise, the website is up and it works. But,
you tested it. Okay, we're gonna validate. Nothing beats communication but documentation. Let us validate it. So what's the website?
I would say the website is brandingconnected.com. That's
Okay.
brandingconnected.com. And
brandingconnected.com. So for those folks out there, someone do me a favor. Look right below the video and put brandingconnected.com. Let's go over there. Let's make sure this thing works. Let's just see. Okay, I'm verified. I've verified that the site does work. Okay, wrong one. Verified the site does work. It's always good to start making sure this stuff works. Now, we're on the site. You can now tell us how wonderful it is, but now, what is this? Tell us about the thought process behind this thing on the front here. Let's see. Be fearless, be effective, be competitive, be authentic, be heard. Oh, talk to us about that.
Right. Well, I guess I'll start. So, I think the most important part of branding and being in business is what you see here. I think people really connect to authenticity, what makes you unique. All of the brands we talked about today, the reason they're successful is because they are their authentic self. So once we figure out what that story is, right? And once you're authentic about that story, and then you're fearless and bold enough to start a business and go out there and get clientele, you have to be heard over the competition. Studies show that we see about 5,000 ads per day. So you have to be heard amongst all of that noise, white noise, chatter, and things that we say. So that's what that represents.
Right. It speaks to our ability to come up with creative and innovative ideas that will get you heard, that will put you in position so that you aren't just kind of pushed over by the wayside and left in the same boat that you were in when you started.
Now, question for you. Thanks for sharing. These are some brands you've done that we're looking at here. Now, I noticed that there's something on the side here. And for folks, ladies, I'm one like you guys. I'm just doing this for the first time. These guys are so authentic. They're so cool. They're hanging out. So some of them say web strategy creative, and some say strategy creative, and then some say web strategy creative. Can you take a moment for someone to just looking to the left and seeing those icons? Tell us the relevance of it. Oh, this says photography. Oh, that's pretty cool. Can you just tell us a little bit about why that's there? And these are some clients you work with.
Right. Well, when it comes to branding and marketing, it's a great area for a lot of individuals, right? Some people think branding is a logo. Some people think branding is a website and things of that nature, but it's really the culmination of everything you do. So this just identifies what we did for the customer. In some cases, there's strategy. In some cases, it's visual. In some cases, it's technology and mobile and things of that nature. So it just tells them the span of what we did for that particular customer.
Cool. And take a moment, and we're coming down the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming down the home stretch. Take a moment, and you've got creative, then we got digital media, and then we have consulting. So we can understand consulting. We probably got creative. For the persons out there saying, "Whoa, digital media services," it's right there. Take a moment and talk about the importance and relevance, especially for those folks right now that aren't out. They're in the stay-at-home time. Either one of you, if you address that. But it looks like they have it there. And I did see there's a place at the bottom, so folks want to connect with you. I guess they go to the bottom down here. Is that what you're suggesting right down here? I think it is right here.
Yeah, they can go there, or they can go to Instagram at Connect Branding. Either way.
We're going to Instagram now. Okay. I won't pull up Instagram. I won't pull up, but I want y'all to see my account. No, I'm joking. All right, so so take a moment and talk about, in all seriousness, this it was on here, digital media packaging, why that's important now as well, because I like the whole connected piece.
Right. Well, this is just the different buckets of what we offer. I think when we're talking about what we offer to customers, that could be 15 or 20 or 30 different things, but it all results in 3 buckets, right? Either creative, consulting, or the digital, or all of them, right? Customers come to us for one of the 3. So, we've done documentaries for individuals, which is in the creative bucket. We've written books for authors that have sold, books and things of that nature. Some people come, they just need a website. Some people need us to write a business plan, in which we've written business plans that have gotten funded. So it's a very easy snapshot of when you come to us. Instead of listing everything, we just put them in buckets, and we let customers decide, how they want to start with us.
You let them decide how they want to start with you. I like that. Second to last question, and it might be on the minds of the folks that are listening out there as well. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
For me, I just enjoy pushing myself to new levels, understanding my craft in a deeper, more intimate way, and being able to demonstrate that repeatedly. So it's like, it's great to win the championship. It's better to win 6 like Michael Jordan. So to use Mike again. And by the way, I'm from Chicago. So if anybody want to know why I keep referencing Mike, I was born and raised during the Michael Jordan era on South Side Chicago. So love Michael Jordan. But that being said, just getting to a place where, I perform at a high level, and that I continue to reaffirm and reassert that daily, and it's just the challenge of seeing how far we can take it, how far I can take it. Being from inner city Chicago, projects, teenage mother, and then being able to say, I built a business that grows 7 figures, that has worked with some of the biggest brands in the United States, and that to this day, I'm still pushing the limits of what's possible. Consulting billion-dollar companies, creating revenue for multi-hundred-million-dollar corporations. Those things are all I'm very proud of those things, not to just say it from a perspective of, oh, look at what we've done, but, the context that we came from to then have been able to get to those places and perform in ways that, frankly, the world probably didn't think someone from where I'm from or we're from would be able to. So being able to represent that part of the culture in this place at this level is what drives me, and I'm motivated to keep going.
Motivated to keep going. All right. Good stuff. That's really good stuff. LaVon, why do you do what you do, man?
I would say, I'm really happy with, the culmination of all of my experiences to sit down with a customer, and help them bring that vision to life. I think it's a great thing, to see someone, we've literally sat with customers before and they've not quite been clear on what they do or how they could get it to work. And when we show them the brand, they literally cry at times. That's a beautiful feeling for them to kind of get that breakthrough. And, just like Sherrod, he's from the south side of Chicago. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, population under 80,000.
From where? Where, Alabama? What is going on? All these shout outs today. I didn't know it was going to be a shout out show. I mean, gee whiz. I'm from Washington, D.C. Is that okay? God, mercy, Jesus.
Hey, I love D.C. All my D.C. people, I love y'all.
For sure. But, I live in Atlanta now, but I'm from Tuscaloosa, very small city, very small town. I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was meeting this guy in college, and we've combined our skill sets and what I call our superpowers together. And, it's something we take pride in, and I think a lot of people should do, especially, African Americans and African American males, is to get together, and use your superpowers, combine those, and you can get wherever you want to get faster, right, more efficiently. And then you cover each other's weaknesses in the meantime. So, we just enjoy growing together, growing this business together, helping clients out. And that's been a great joy, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Well, let me say 2 things. One, thanks a lot for taking time to be here on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Tell folks once again, we'll give you a moment to have your final thoughts in just a second. But tell them once again, how can they connect with you, number 1. And number 2, tell them how they can connect with you and who should connect with you. So they're very clear on that. So if it's not them, they can refer you to someone else. They can pass your information on. For those folks that are out there, I encourage every single one of you to connect, obviously with Connect. That's it, Connect Branding and Marketing, by the way. Do that ASAP. At least have a conversation. But LaVon, go ahead, or Sherrod, tell them how they can connect with you.
Right. They can connect with us 2 ways. One on Instagram at Connect Branding, or our website, brandingconnected.com. As for who should connect with us, as Sherrod mentioned in the beginning of the show, we've been blessed that we're helping a lot of individuals now, literally daily. We get new calls with people that are trying to get that vision out. They're trying to pivot. They discovered new things about themselves. So any business that you're trying to start up that new idea, you have a current business, you lost some revenue, you need some new ideas to create new revenue. That's who we're here for. And we can get to it very quickly and very efficiently.
All right, cool beans. Well, let me first say thanks a lot again for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. One of the things they always say is you can always make more money, and you guys can help people make a lot of money. I know that, but none of us can make more time. So you're giving us the most precious gift that you have, which is your time. So thanks a lot for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Before we close out, I got to ask you the one question I ask everybody, which is this whole thing around our core value and one of our core beliefs. And one of our core beliefs here is that today is your January 1st. That today is your January 1st. For those folks that know what I'm about to do as we close out, you can look right below the video and you can write, today is my January 1st. For those folks that are hearing it, all our new viewers for the very first time, today is your January 1st represents one of those moments, and there's probably 1,000+ moments throughout the day, where you get to make a decision. And that decision can forever change the trajectory of your life, right? So you make a decision, you're either going to work out or you sit back and you binge watch during this time. You make a decision that you're going to eat hamburgers and French fries, or maybe go to the Waffle House, which right, you go to the Waffle House, right, and you put down some syrup and all that, or you go to your refrigerator, you open it up, and there's some kale, you take some of that. There's some broccoli, you have some of that. There's some Brussels sprouts, you take some of that. So it's a do-over. It's a fresh start. You don't wait for January 1st. You create your January 1st. LaVon or Sherrod, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, I go to you first, LaVon. What do you hear? What does it mean to you?
It's very simple for me. You know, my January 1st is not in a specific area, just to be my best self with the utmost, humility and gratitude, but with fearlessness. So that quite simply, that's my January 1st.
Makes sense. Sherrod, when you hear today, it's your January 1st, what do you hear? What does it mean to you?
Just keep going. I don't really do the whole New Year's resolution. Hopefully by the time the New Year's comes, I'm celebrating what I did last year. So I really don't have, I'm not a habitual restart kind of guy. I pretty much figure out where I'm going and go. And and that's the truth. So with that being said, my January 1st is just the day before January 2nd. We're going to keep pushing on the same plan we've been pushing.
I like that. I like that. But by the way, I don't know if you know this, Sherrod, but January 17th is National Ditch Your Resolution Day. So the good news is, you can Google that, by the way. Good news is, even if they start on January 1st, by January 17th, they've all quit, right? So folks are excited now like they were back on December 31st after a couple drinks on the back of a napkin. They've already wrote down their resolutions. They quit. Last question, then I'm going to give you your final thoughts. When folks hear this phrase, and it's a truism, it's an old adage, but it's a truism that consistency is the key, consistency is the key, consistency is the key. But what do most people struggle with most, and my hands up from time to time, is consistency. So what do you tell your clients, Sherrod, in order for them to be consistent on this journey?
That's a whole nother show, because my philosophy on consistency is probably different than most. I truly believe that consistency is the key. But the question that I would rebut to a person that says that is, consistency in what? Because I can keep banging my head against a wall. It doesn't mean I'm going to ever knock this wall down. So what I've discovered is, for me, I don't focus on being consistent in any one area. I focus on being consistent in expanding my understanding of everything I encounter. So before I do anything, I seek to understand it. Even in the Bible, it says, "In all that get understanding." So my consistency lies in being a lifelong student. And I'm one of these type of individuals, and LaVon can attest to this. I will study dang near anything, and I'll dig into it and get to the bottom of it and have a strong understanding of it before I move forward. And what that produces is the energy necessary to continue to try things in different ways. So one of the things about an entrepreneur, consistency is not doing the same thing for a long time. Consistency is continually being able to go back to the well of knowledge and creativity to find new angles to approach the same problem until you solve it. So technically, you're not really doing the same thing. You're doing something different until you solve the problem. So although it looks like consistency to the outside world, you done try 11 things to get that done until you got it done. And each time you fail, you just update the strategy, add something to the strategy and try again and go at it a different way until you figure out how to get through that door. So for me, consistency is not repetition. Consistency is a commitment and dedication to the information and the knowledge and doing the due diligence, which then creates the creativity and the innovation to give you the energy to try again. So that's my secret to consistency.
So well said. I'll give it to you guys to have the final thoughts. Any final thoughts you have for the audience? Once again, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. You have a heart to give. You have a heart to serve. You're doing some wonderful things. Yeah, you're creating some great branding and some great marketing, but you're doing so much more for the community. You're doing so much more for everyday entrepreneurs. You're doing so much more for folks who really want to realize their dreams. They want to help more people, and they understand if they can reach them, they can help them. And it's never about the money, that it's always about the meaning. And that's what you guys do at the end of the day. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to you to have your final thoughts and comments for the audience, for everyone that's watching out there right now. LaVon, Sherrod, either one or both, however y'all want to do it, turn it over to you. LaVon?
Yeah, I would just like to say in this time, my final words would be, because I know, we're going through COVID-19 and a lot of people are not sure where to go, how to pivot. This is a really good opportunity to dare to be different. Do something you've been wanting to do, dig inside of yourself, create something, that you haven't created. Maybe there's some things you've been scared to do. I think now is the time, and whether it's with us or another branding firm or a business coach or what have you, get that thing done. And I think at the end of this, you'll be stronger. The worst thing to do right now is to do nothing, to not study, to not create the business you wanted. That's the worst thing you can do. Right now, just work on it. And when we get out of this, you'll be 100 times better.
Work on it. We get out of this, you'll be 100 times better. With that being said, thank you so much for watching the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I want you to know that today is your January 1st. You can create a brand that people care about. Talk to Sherrod. Today is your January 1st. You can actually market and someone will hear that you're doing something. Talk to LaVon, or you can connect the both together and get branding and marketing. And that today is your January 1st, that the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. The best is still yet to come. So with that being said, my name, for those folks who are just curious, is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember, time is long. Life is short. Live in the moment and make it count. God bless. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Y'all rock.
Thank you, Shay.
Out. So much fun. It's always a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's the promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Check.
Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what.
Damn.
Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause all I do is win. If you going in, put your hands
Yeah.
Thank you. God bless.